All right. Welcome to HBCU Grad Live. I'm Todd Finley, the founder and CEO of HBCU Grad. I have three guys here with me. I'll let them introduce themselves, but we're going to be talking about HBCU Esports here. So we'll go around and let everyone start. We'll start with you, Chris. Can you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, what HBCU you went to, and why you went to that HBCU?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Chris. Last name is P. I graduated from North Carolina Central University, the illustrious North Carolina Central University. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm the co-founder and head of marketing here at Community.
Nice. Asante?
Asante Gatson, class of 20 grad from Morehouse College. And I'm an esports and gaming analyst for Rise Ventures.
Okay. So you missed the where the Morehouse, everybody got their debt wiped out. You missed it. You were 1 year late.
Yeah. We was a little late on the graduating part.
I hear that. Julian, can you tell everyone what part you play?
Absolutely. So Julian Fitzgerald, operations of Community. My background's actually with military, but yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. You know, we need more military people around because, you know, that discipline is important. Is it now you were a Marine?
Marine, yes, sir.
Is it true that there's no such thing as a Marine that's out of shape no matter how old they are?
I like to say that on paper, but I met some out of shape Marines. So
Right. Okay. Can you guys tell me what Community is?
Yeah, sure. So Community is a nonprofit organization. On paper, we were founded last year in November, but we all three of us started working full time in February. And so we started Community to increase the participation of minorities within the esports and video game industries. Our biggest goal, I would say, is to create the equitable opportunities for minorities or people of color within video game and tech industries.
Okay. Now tell everyone what esports is.
Yeah. Asante is the actual esports expert. I'll pass that off to him.
In short, I would just say esports is competitive video game play, just for people to kind of digest it. Although I know, there are some opinions about competitive video game play and whether or not it's a time waster and if that's something you should do, but that's what it is in short.
Right. And I was reading something. Is it true it started in 1972 at Stanford? And
I'm not looking there. I'm a historian. I wouldn't know all that.
Yeah, they saying it was October 19th, 1972 at Stanford Lab for Artificial Intelligence, and 24 players played Space War. And I had no clue that it had been around pretty much 50 years.
It makes sense now that you said that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, who's the richest esports player? Do you know?
Ninja. Gotta say it.
Gotta be Ninja.
I don't even know. I don't even think it's like Ninja as like esports. Think of more of like a content creator. Although, like, if you do research, he had like a competitive history in Halo. He's competitive in Fortnite. It's hard to say. These contracts fluctuate. I think it probably changes every year.
Right. That makes sense. Now, I saw The Rock just bought the XFL, and starting a league is tough. How did you guys start a league? We'll send that to you, Asante. And it's just being the commissioner, it has to be hard to get buy-in from the schools, get everybody in place. So how does that work? Can you walk me through that?
So I think from the beginning, I think there's been talks amongst those people of color who are in the space about HBCUs getting more into esports, and a league was something that had been tossed around a lot. And I think with the work that Community did along with Twitch, I think that started kind of the ball rolling. And then from there, it was just kind of easy. Like being in college, I'm connected to a lot of HBCU students, whether they're in school or not. But everybody plays Call of Duty. So that's where we kind of started. And from there, it's just been kind of a snowball effect, really, since the press release. So it hasn't been as hard to do, onboarding just because we don't have fall sports. So people are looking at this as an avenue to supplement that. And this is just kind of like a perfect storm, like the press release along with Corona, just kind of a perfect storm.
Right. Now, what are y'all backgrounds in gaming period, because I know at FAMU I majored in Madden. That was my major.
Yeah.
I made my money on Madden and live and everything like that. Were you guys gamers growing up?
I'm actually the opposite. So, well, I was a gamer growing up, but in college, I actually probably lost more money in Madden. So I mean, luckily, so it's funny. So, I mean, I met Ryan in 2017. Ryan is our founder and executive director, and this is like his brainchild. And so all of us pretty much play video games. I would say between Ryan and Asante, though, that's where like the gaming, you know what I'm saying, the engine of Game Breakers and community and the HBCU Esports League is actually, taking off between those two guys.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What about you, Julian? Were you a gamer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting because this project in itself kind of, relit that light. A lot of the times, especially in our community, that ain't gonna do nothing for you. Go get a job, go make it serious. So I even turned away from it, especially going into the military. Is serious things only, but coming back and seeing that this industry is providing opportunities for individuals who are playing the games as well as individuals on the other side of the spectrum. So I've been gaming, but actually excited about getting back into it even more.
You're right.
Without the guilt.
Right. What about you, Asante? I know, can Morehouse, are y'all allowed to play video games during?
Yeah. I mean, it's an institution of all men, so I can barely go to a room without there being a console in there. So I mean, it's crazy, like super competitive. But I've been gaming since the original Xbox, Halo 2, Halo 3 days. So it's been a minute. It's my solace when I wasn't playing sports, and then when I got to college, I was like, sports is out. I'm here to focus. So, when I wasn't in class or doing something for an org, I was definitely in the room playing the game.
Right. And I was the same way. And I was a basketball player up until, senior year in high school. And my mother, was, wanted me to do it. And then my father, he said, I think with video games, you really learn rules and you learn strategy. So I think it can really help you in life. So they kind of pushed me, into, playing more video games. And, it really helped me out in life, I think, because of, the different strategies that you learn and, being competitive. And I think that, really helps out. So with gamers, do you see any certain attributes that they have that can make you think that they would be a good gamer? Is it competitiveness? Is it, Julian, do you see someone that's really focused and really disciplined to really play 8 to 12 hours a day? What type of attributes do you see from the good gamers?
I'll definitely let the other guys jump in, but I've seen it. Yeah, definitely interest is one of the biggest things. My cousin, any game I put in front of him, he'll still beat me in. So, there is a natural skill level thing that I can say attributes to it as well.
Right. I would probably say the same. I look at most gamers as very bright individuals. Just me on the outside looking in. Everyone knows, they know everything about the game, which then turns to like production or, live event production or video production, which turns into STEM or STEAM. So that's from the outside looking in. That's what I see from a gamer.
Right. I definitely see that too. Now, you guys are official stream partner for the HBCU Esports League. Tell me how that came about, because that's not something that's, easy to do, especially with you guys partnering with Twitch.
Yeah, sure. So the partnership with Twitch came about because we initially started a platform called Tech for COVID. And so we were raising money and funds for students, K through 12 and HBCU students who were affected by COVID, who were sent home, when everything went virtual, and they were sent home without a laptop or, proper hotspot and things like that to be able to continue their learning. We found that in the city of Georgia, for Atlanta public schools, for sure, about 10,000 devices. And so we, saw that problem and then partnered with a few other companies, especially the NFL alumni has helped us out a lot. We partnered with those guys, and then we're able to raise about $128,000 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then be able to, we bought laptops. We partnered with Intel, JP Morgan Chase. Who else, Julian?
I think those are some of the major names.
Yeah, Intel, JP Morgan Chase, and they were actually able to give us like in-kind donations. But long story short, we partnered with those guys. Twitch liked what we did. And then, like I said, my partner Ryan is just like a workhorse. And so he, like, every single connection that we have has pretty much come through him. And so he was able to then, like, I guess, just let Twitch know this is what we're doing. Twitch wanted to diversify their platform, and one of their biggest goals is to get more Black content creators on their platform. And so then they reached out to us and saw what we're doing with HBCUs. We pitched them to HBCU Esports, and then it just clicked, and we've been working since then.
Nice. Now, as far as the league, what schools are involved as of now?
So as of now, we have NC Central, we have FAMU, we have Clark Atlanta, we got Morehouse, Hampton, and then Johnson C. Smith University. I think, can we say it now, Asante?
Oh, we got a few more on the way.
Okay, yeah, we have a few more on the way, and then there's also a LOI for a conference. That's coming up pretty shortly here too. And so eventually, right now we have about 7 schools that's competing already, and then I would say in the next week or so we'll have about 16, 17.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you go about getting these schools to join the league? What's the process of that? Because when I think about dealing with colleges, I just see a lot of bureaucracy and especially something new. How do you overcome that?
Thankfully, right now we're in a really, I would say, just unique position and opportunity of, one, the HBCUs not having too many opportunities. I would say not just from a income or engagement perspective, but then also the same individuals who would be in charge of putting together a league or this type of opportunity, they aren't as engaged. So for a couple of these opportunities or institutions, we're actually forming the league through the student affairs program. And then I believe it will be one day going under the athletic director program. But that in itself allows us to use some of the students who are already engaged on campus to facilitate some of these processes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, now we like to get student advocates, and so a lot of times, it's easier to influence and get students involved than it is to teach like faculty that may think video games are a waste of time. And so we then go through the students, and a lot of times the athletic directors, they're already like hip, and you know what I'm saying, they know what's going on, they've heard about esports, and of course athletics brings in the money, and student affairs is like they don't. And so we want to go through athletic directors, but we end up going through students, and then they let them convince the athletic director. Right.
So now you guys have a minor program?
Yeah. So John Cash, he sits on our board, and he's also our Chief Education Development Officer. He's an adjunct professor at Johnson C. Smith University, and he launched the first ever HBCU Esports Accredited curriculum in North America, which is Johnson C. Smith.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, does any other school have an accredited program for esports?
Since then, I know a couple of them have adopted pretty much that same curriculum. Asante may be able to speak a little bit more to that.
Outside of the scope of HBCUs, a lot of schools have programs, certificates. Some schools are moving to minors. Some schools are doing full-out degrees. So, there's schools that have been at this a little bit longer than we have, so a little bit further than we are.
Right. And how long have you guys been around? Just the whole league?
What has it been? About a month? Month and a half?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, there are a lot of jobs in esports. So you have people that do marketing. You have people that can be a journalist. Like, we want to be the official partner of the HBCU Esports League and be the ones that can, be the journalists, or we want to have interns that can come and be the announcers. What other part of esports can people get involved in if they aren't good at, playing video games?
Pass it off to Asante.
I would say don't look at esports differently than you would traditional sports. So coaches are still needed, trainers are still needed. The business side is still very much prevalent. It's still very much like a startup space, but the things that we look at or try to get at for traditional sports are kind of similar in esports. I wouldn't say it's super complicated. There are trainers, like I said, coaches. The business side is there, production, social media. It's all the same.
Right. Yeah, like Asante said, another part of our mission is we want to increase the participation of minorities, and that goes for like as equal opportunities for new jobs that are being created. Because like Asante said, with esports being like a startup nature, there's literally jobs being created every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually advocating coming out of a conversation with some of the educators in the space who are either focused on STEM or coding. Also talking to some of the educators in the SEL or social emotional learning space and telling them how their integral process is still something that will be needed in this industry. So we can once again, yes, fill the pipeline with African-American students that will go on to be our, Black tech, but then also integrating that social emotional learning and these other components that ultimately help the student become their whole self and having the whole process.
Right. Makes sense. Asante, you're a Morehouse grad. Tell me about HBCU Esports on the Morehouse campus, because I've saw something come across my desk, but I don't understand. I don't remember exactly what it was.
So I don't even know where to begin. I guess it's just been like a year-long journey of putting Morehouse in this space. Like I said, it's an all-male institution, so I knew from the jump that we were uniquely positioned to get into this space, right? So a lot of the things that other schools deal with in terms of diversity and inclusion, we don't necessarily have to deal with, right? And I remember freshman year, every year, being able to go to somebody else's room and them having a console. So it was just a basic, it was basic math for me. And then from there, it was just grinding and working, kind of like similar to Ryan. I was just like super, super passionate about getting my school in this space. And I did everything I could to get us in this space. So, built up the club with the guys, got us into TESPA, which is one of the largest esports collegiate organizations in the country. We were the first HBCU actually to join TESPA. So that was super exciting. I just used LinkedIn. I won't lie. LinkedIn was a really good platform for just getting connected, not just with esports, but with the gaming industry in totality. And they were super receptive. So Imco probably still has the message that I sent him, but he was my last LinkedIn credit message. And so that's how I ended up with Rise. Luckily he responded, because if you see his LinkedIn, it's full of messages. So
right.
And long story short, Asante is being super humble. Asante started the first ever HBCU Esports team.
Wow. It's a big deal. Asante. You can't be humble on here, man. Sometimes we got to put in that
pick it up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, we're definitely glad to have him acting as the commissioner of the HBCU Esports League, which just makes sense.
Right. That's awesome. How has the pandemic affected your growth? And I know for us, it's given us time to do things like that, like have video chats, and people have, video gaming has gone up. You try to go to a GameStop and get a PlayStation, is not happening. Yeah. So how has the pandemic affected video games and, what you guys are doing?
So I'll go first. I'll say with community, pandemic, fortunately, unfortunately, has kicked it up a couple notches. Actually, just being able to. So I guess from the start, we were looking to get students into tech or into gaming, and now with the pandemic, we're actually looking to get tech to the students, if that makes sense. And so that's one of the biggest things. And that led us to start Tech for COVID, which pretty much everything took off from there. And so from that standpoint, we were able to be innovative and pretty much do a lot of things different. We were one of the, I wouldn't say one of the first, but we were one of the pioneers and actually did a virtual concert series with YK Osiris, who's signed to Def Jam.
Wow.
That was just one of the big things that we were able to do during this, quarantine time.
Right. That's awesome. Well, now, how did you get a partnership with Twitch? Who did you email? Who did someone know? Like that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. So Kevin Hong, shout out to Kevin. Kevin is actually he works for Citizen.
I said shout out Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin works for Twitch student. And so his main thing is to be able to get Twitch on college campuses, or either get more colleges involved into the Twitch platform. And so something that was unique, since we're operating in this unique space, like I said, was the HBCU, because they also want to diversify, pretty much like everything else. With the state of the culture today, it all just makes sense.
Right.
So Kevin actually helped us out a lot, a ton.
Nice. So it's all about it's all about who you know.
Exactly. And like I said, so Ryan, one thing and I've actually learned from Ryan, I met Ryan, my co-founder, in 2017. And from there, Ryan probably, his LinkedIn is like through the roof. He's on LinkedIn day in and day out, just reaching out to people. And I mean, he got that DJ Khaled level of annoyance that, it makes it hard for you to deny it.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what it was that got Twitch attention.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that point because it actually is something to acknowledge, and it's once again, the founder Ryan has a complete awareness of the ecosystem, and so not understanding this is a gap or a need in the community, but then all the different players that could really impact it in all the right ways, and really maybe if you don't know who to talk to, know how to talk to them, kind of thing. I would say that's one of the biggest things, so that I can definitely say that contributed.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Now I want to talk a little money. How are you guys going to make money? How do gamers make money? Well, talk to me a little bit about money. You can go as far or as little as you want.
Yeah. Julian, you want to take that one?
Sure. So we have the organization itself, of course, is a nonprofit. We do sustain ourselves on donations. Thankfully, though, we've been able to strategically leverage some of the opportunities just from a viewership perspective. Once again, we mentioned, live events aren't happening. Influencers don't have anywhere to show up on stage, so to speak. Brands don't have anywhere to spend their money for all those tournaments, or let's call them playoffs or championships. So really, some of the income opportunities are making sure some of these brands have the opportunity to be in front of our audience ultimately. So that's one piece, and then another is for these different private institutions as well as these different venue companies that want to build out a career pathway program or want to build out an apprenticeship program, being able to work and consult with them on putting a sustainable model for those entities. And outside of that, we made sure that some of our students have opportunities to win scholarships, either for career development, to continue themselves in their career, or curriculum development going after certain degrees.
Yeah, our group for COVID stream altogether had about 1.3 million views. So any brands out there that want to, get your name out there or kind of reach the audience, definitely get at it. And another key thing that Julian touched on, we are a nonprofit, so we thrive off of grants and donations. So definitely, I would say head to www.community.co, and that's CX instead of the O for community.
Okay. Makes sense. Now tell me about the scholarship.
Absolutely. The scholarship, once again, so with the partnership that we've been able to form with Twitch, and this is just the start of it, but where it is now, we've been able to, or we were actually decided to allocate it specifically to the HBCU Esports League participants, not only to encourage the different individuals in the league, but then to also, once they are able to either receive the scholarship, once they're able to receive the scholarship, we can then help them get to the next point. So that is strictly focused on individuals in the league who have met certain prerequisites. And that's going to be from student success or student retention, making sure they're still staying academically sound. So we have a couple of different parameters in place, but ultimately it's a merit base. We want you to be engaged and active in the league.
Yeah. Again, Twitch is looking to diversify and get more African-American streamers on their platform. And so one thing that they're looking to do with the scholarships is be able to reach out to these students that are streaming through the HBCU Esports League to be able to then get them, whatever they need as far as streaming. So if they need a gaming chair, if they need headphones, if they need, consoles
Right.
or whatever, they're looking to then, kind of foot that bill to be able to get them to come to Twitch and stream, and teach them how to be content creators and entrepreneurs and eventually get $30 million deals like Ninja.
Right. Right. I was reading something today where they're saying in 2021, esports will be bigger than every sports league except for the NFL, I think.
Yeah. I think esports right now, and Sante, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's surpassed the film and music industry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think they're saying, I think baseball is like at 79 million viewers. NBA is like 63 million. Esports is like at 84 million. NFL is up there. I think they're at like 140, 141, something like that. So, so people don't realize how big esports is. And I think that esports today is what baseball or NBA was 20, 30 years ago. Because as time goes, things change. So in 1948, the top sports were boxing, horse racing, and baseball. And the reason those three were the top sports is because they were broadcast over the radio. And those three sports are good over the radio. You can hear somebody knock somebody out. Baseball. And then around like the 70s and 80s, it changed over to football and and basketball because those were good on the medium of the times, and that was TV. Now the internet is what those places never have been or never will be. Like, this internet is so huge. So if someone understands the medium in which things are transferred, people will understand why esports is going to be so much bigger than anything that ever was.
Exactly.
So I kind of, I'm trying to look at it from a macro perspective. Like, it's not even going to be close how big esports is going to be. You guys have the first HBCU Esports League. Like, this is going to be so much bigger than HBCU football and anything that HBCUs have ever done. So I commend you guys, being on the beginning parts of this.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, and that's why we exist. I mean, when you think about it, like, the poorer class is always left behind whenever anything changes too quickly.
Yeah.
And so from that, when you think about it from that standpoint, we started community and then as well as Game Breakers and the HBCU Esports League to be able to tackle that like head on and catch it before we are left behind. Because I mean, like I said, 83% of African American teens play video games, and then only 18% of the video game workforce is African American. And so just trying to bridge that gap to what we call the digital divide, because if we don't, then, the gap is going to continue to grow because people hire their friends. And if we're not in those spaces, we're not able to hire our friends.
And I think, again, like with those numbers of both the global box office and the global, I would say, the music industry, understanding that, those industries lead different sectors, even though they're not in the same sector. So once again, being able to help empower our students, we're empowering global leaders ultimately. And so, using different metrics, making sure that we're talking to the educators, talking to the traditional, both at the district or the school level or the HBCU level, making sure we're talking to those educators and using different cross metric, I would say, evaluations so that we can really use the data and see which direction we're going to make sure it's always going in a positive manner. And these students aren't just getting that esports certification, but they're continually progressing through the ranks, if you will, because these companies will be global leaders.
Definitely. I totally agree. What are the biggest games in esports right now? I know, everybody knows, Call of Duty and Fortnite, but what are the other big games?
For me, the largest and still like most popular is CSGO, which is probably the oldest like FPS in esports currently. I love, like, if you've never seen it, like, definitely try to experience esports event in person. Like, the production is like nothing else, but CSGO is just so entertaining. from there, it's kind of League of Legends,
Okay.
Overwatch, Call of Duty. Stuff that we do or don't play. More of a console guy, so some of those are PC based. So never really played myself.
Right.
Right.
And Asante, can you talk about the disparities of PC and console?
Yeah.
I think I don't even know. There's so much to go on about the disparity between console and PC. I just think it's no secret that PCs are tens of thousands of dollars that unfortunately people of color at times can't afford. For what I pay for a PC high end, I could probably buy 5, 6, consoles, right? On top of the games, on top of the add-ons with games now, right? So I just don't think it's a secret. It's just something that I pray one day will be addressed. PC is the master race, and if you've ever played a game on PC and then played on console, you'll understand the difference.
Okay, makes sense. Chris, do you ever when you think about where you guys are going and how you market and how you get to everybody, because you have different customers. You have customers that of the teams and the people that are on the teams, and then you have the customer of people to watch the players. Do you ever think that when communicating to people outside, you won't have to do any of this selling that you have to do now because people don't know about esports as much? Or do you think it's going to be where you're going to have to communicate even more because it's going to be more noise? How do you look at the marketing side of it?
I guess from a marketing side, I always like to say the selling starts when they say no. And so
Right.
I think the biggest, that's the most important piece, is just being able to change someone's mind, just being able to convince. So for me, I see it being more of convincing, especially since we are taking what essentially is ours, but we don't realize it's ours, and then trying to take it to our people and make them realize, look, this is where the market is going. This is where the world is going. And getting them to buy in. Really.
Yeah. Makes sense. Now, before the show started, we had a side conversation, and I told you guys that in 2017, I got the domain HBCU Esports, and I never did anything with it. And I thought about it. I'm like, but I don't know what to do. So I still own it, and I told you guys I'm going to give that to you. So I'm going to give you guys that. You can do anything you want with it. I'm going to give you the Instagram name. Yeah, no problem. And I just hope you give my guys access when they want to come, film sports or get some different quotes and a piece that we're going to write about you guys. I just want some access down the road, because I think esports is going to be huge.
Yeah. For sure. And it just makes sense. HBCU Esports League, you got HBCU grad. So the HBCU Esports League is literally put on by HBCU graduates. So it all makes sense. We're definitely looking for, somebody to be able to cover these different matches. And I guess Asante will be able to talk more to that. He's more in communication directly with the schools and the team captains.
Right. Yeah, well, tell me, what are you guys looking for to go to the next level in the league, and what's next for the league?
Never settling, right? So I think Call of Duty is a great title, but I think if we stay strictly console, that'll handicap us, right? So being able to get into those PC titles, right, or the more popular ones like a Rocket League, like a League of Legends, right, the stuff that larger schools are into, Overwatch, being able to field teams and then compete, I think that'll be what takes us to the next level, right? I love Call of Duty. I love that it's cross-platform, and I love the game and what it's done this year. But I think moving up to, PC games and more popular titles like a CSGO, I think will take us way over the top.
Yeah, right. Like they said, basically what will take us to the next level is help from these HBCUs, especially the athletic department. Like you said, Todd, HBCU esports is gonna be bigger than HBCU football.
Yeah,
for sure. It's gonna be watched more, and it's going to create more opportunity.
Right.
So basically, the most important thing that we need from these HBCUs is the buy-in and just to trust.
Right. Definitely. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to cover yet?
That's a good question.
Oh, can't even think.
I know we can talk forever, but is there anything pressing that, you guys wanted to, talk about that we haven't touched on?
Nothing on top of my head, no.
Okay. How can people get involved with the league? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I was going to say we can talk about our partners.
Okay.
We talk about Access Replay, and I'll let Asante go first by talking about his company that he started, actually Game Breakers, and what they're doing not only for the HBCU Esports League but outside of it.
Yeah. So super crazy when you say that, Chris. Game Breakers is an entity that came up from under Rise Ventures, and our managing partner, M. Cole Jones, was like everything to me. Like, he's the reason I'm here, the reason I'm successful. So he took me on as an intern. We've been pushing, gaming and esports under Rise, but it kind of makes sense that we made just a strictly gaming esports content creation kind of centric organization. And that's what we've been doing with Game Breakers, just focusing on speaking with content creators, speaking with brands about this space and how we can kind of make it happen. I think Rise is our investment vehicle, and Game Breakers is just strictly gameplay, content creation, esports, So that's been everything, and I've enjoyed that.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Joe, you want to talk about Access?
Yeah, absolutely. So Access Replay, they're 12,000 square foot gaming facility here in Atlanta, Georgia, right off Krog Street. I believe they've been here closer to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And apart from COVID, students, individuals, gamers are able to come here, relax. There's a couch. If you're 21, you can come and have a beer, but otherwise you'll see all the individuals gaming and really and truly, being able to be in a space with top specs and where everyone's welcome. It's really what we want to create across the nation, really across the world, that community. And so really and truly, we feel at home here and want to spread this out to everyone.
Yeah, Access Replay, our production partners, all of our Tech for COVID, all of our HBCU Esports, all of those streams come from out of Access Replay.
Nice. I had a peek in there and I was blown away. I didn't know it was this level,
Yeah, it's crazy. And they're stepping it up. So Allie Young is the CEO. She knows what she's doing for sure.
Nice. That's a big deal. Just talking with you guys, I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, like I think HBCU grad can sponsor the HBCU Esports League, can be a sponsor. I think HBCU grad can, do a lot for you guys as far as getting you exposure on a, daily basis, covering the players, because I start to look at what leagues have done well. And when you look at the NBA put players first and they turn them into stars. And from them becoming stars, that made the NBA just grow in the way that it had started with Dr. J to Bird to Magic, then to Jordan, then to Iverson. Now you're in the LeBron age. So I think that if we cover players and really put them in front of everything, you can really grow a league. The NFL just has a really good product because you never know who's going to win. And they've done a good job of getting city buy-in. So if we really get school buy-in, I think that can help a league grow. And then baseball hasn't put the players first. Like, nobody knows who Mookie Betts is. Like, how do you not know? How can you not market someone named Mookie that's this good?
Right.
So I try to look at other sports and see what they've done, and esports are going to be bigger than that. So I think we can really help in that realm, and then sponsorships and apparel. It's a lot of different things we can do. So I really look forward to helping you guys grow, seeing you guys grow, and anything that we can ever do, we'll always be here for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's funny you said, so like I said, just going back to the Twitch scholarship, that's something that that we're actually looking at doing is amplifying the players who are already involved and just taking them and making them content creators. Because then ultimately, they become advocates and they spread the word, or either there's kids that are at the HBCU or maybe incoming that's looking up to those guys, that game, and they want to be involved as well. So we're definitely looking to amplify the current players for sure. And we could definitely use HBCU grads' help with that.
Right. Sounds good. Well, we're here to work. Anything you ever need from us, we'll be here for you. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and then commend you for what you guys have done. It's not easy starting something new, and really wish you the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say one last thing. For any interested HBCU League students, you sign up at bit.ly.cod/HBCU. So that's bit.ly/COD/HBCU.
Okay. bit.ly/COD/HBCU. Yep. All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Likewise. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
You too.